Hey everyone, Jack's here. Just doing a test stream to see if we can do a UK friendly type stream for people across the pond. And this afternoon, tonight, wherever you are in the UK, it's 5 hours ahead, so it's like 25 past 9. Gonna do a UFO Q&A session. I'd like to introduce the panel and go right down the line. I don't know how it is for you guys, but for me, it's Vern, Mike,
So,
Cupid, UFO Man,
peace.
and myself, Jax.
Yeah.
Peace.
Fine right now.
So you were, poor Jax was last in his own line of people. How bad is that?
I'm sorry?
You were at the back of the line on everybody on your screen.
Yeah. It's okay, I'm used to it. Well, my last name is at the end of the alphabet, so it's even in grade school you used to line everybody up alphabetical order, and I was always in the back of the line. So that's just the way it is. You know?
That's why you having a name that starts with 3 Z's is really, really weird.
Well, it's a derivative from. It's actually my first initial and my middle initial. And then I look at, because I investigate the paranormal, it's kind of like the X-Files. I mean, the X-Files is paranormal, so I just took the X and just made the name Jax.
You're wealthy. Yes, you are.
And there's another Jax out there, too.
Isn't it tonight we get to have some fun with you and we get to ask the questions?
Yes. So anytime you guys are ready.
Oh my God, I've been waiting for this for so long. Would anyone like to go first?
On what?
What
Nah.
would you like to ask Jax about UFOs? Ask him anything you want. Let's get his opinion.
We'll leave that up to you.
What about Jax? What about the 1980 December 26th Army Air Base in the UK, where the 2 guys riding a jeep saw a bright light in the woods, and they approached it with a Geiger and used the Geiger counter, and actually saw the craft, got to touch it supposedly, and left the markings and all the pictures and all that. You know that story?
Yes, I do.
What's your opinion on that? You think that really took place? That's one of my favorite documentaries. I know it's something like that took place, you know, but the picture evidence they actually had and voice recordings they did.
That's Bent Morse's.
I think, personally, I think it did take place. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that it came back the next night.
Yeah, they the next night they did see the lights, but they did not see the craft itself. But the first night's when they actually got to witness the craft itself and got to approach it, and you know, supposedly the one soldier put his hand on it.
Yeah, I think it took place, most definitely. Oh.
You got any opinions on the evidence, the photos? You think any of the photos were cropped, or we're thinking back in 1980. Photoshop.
No, I think
back then.
I don't think that any of it was doctored, to tell you the truth, because like you said, Photoshop wasn't available in 1980.
Sean think it was a drone. He said it's in the chat.
it's possible, but it's
Now we're thinking 1980. You think we had drones that legit, like technology-wise, back then? I know we had high advanced stuff like that, but for
in the 80s, we had drones that were pretty sophisticated.
Although, didn't the one in Suffolk, when it took off, didn't it break into like separate lights and then fly off in different directions?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I can tell you this though, starting in the 50s is when they started using drone aircraft for fighter simulation for jet fighter pilots to practice with. So we've had drone around in the military since like 57, I think, 56 or 57.
Dad. Oh my God.
They actually could have the plane land and take off and fly on a robotic, area or whatever. Similar to like, I don't know if you remember, like in the old days, like they had these like testers cars that had like little patterns. You'd snap in the bottom of them, and the car would do like a figure-8 pattern or whatever. Well, that's like what they did with the drone aircraft back then. They were fully mechanical, not computer controlled like that. So they could actually pinpoint exactly where they'd want it to go. It was just tricky doing it. It required a lot of engineering and geographic skills, to do it. Which now they have GIS to do all that stuff, and GPS and everything else. So many different ways that they can actually control a plane remotely, besides just remote control.
Hey, Sean. What the Paranormal said, hey to everyone in the panel.
Hey.
Oh, what the Paranormal?
Hey. See, I think Bentwaters is one of the best freaking cases there's been, to be perfectly honest. With everything taken into account, even when you see one of the, I think he was a private that was supposed to have seen something, and you see him at the age he was then, and do you know what, he looks like a young kid. And that's the only worrying thing about that case. I think that's a good one.
Is there gonna be chicken in there?
Okay. Anything else?
I'm not sure.
Go down the line.
All right, Tim, go ahead. You got any questions?
I was wondering if you are aware of the 1954 Washington UFO encounter.
Yes. Yes, that's the case where they actually have photographs of, I think there was like 5 or 6 that appear to be some type of UFOs over the Capitol building. And that actually landed, rumor has it that it landed, and they had a meeting with Eisenhower.
Do you know what base they landed at?
I cannot remember off the top of my head.
I heard it was Muroc Air Force Base. I don't know what it's called now, but I think the name has changed. I heard there was a one-on-one encounter with Dwight D. Eisenhower, but I also heard that supposedly the inhabitants of the disk, and I don't know what you think about this, would only speak to high-ranking officials. What have you heard?
That's exactly what I heard also. And it's interesting too, because there's also reports of Eisenhower having off-planet meetings, which
I love how I literally did nothing.
Did they result in anything like a treaty or a?
there was supposed to be a treaty signed, yes. And for return of getting whatever technology that they were willing to hand over to us, that I don't know what they were supposed to get in return. I can't remember.
What I heard was it was abductions of people and cattle for experiments in exchange for technology. Does that seem to be a plausible idea of what the treaty was?
That does sound familiar,
Yeah.
but it's the thing is that I don't know. I mean, as far as that treaty goes, I mean that treaty could be still in effect today for all we know.
I heard they violated the treaty and that it's been rewritten. I don't know if it's still in effect or not.
So the next question is, who are they talking to now?
Watch the
I don't know.
video. Okay, let me look it up real quick. What's the,
You know, there's hopefully they're not talking to Trump. I mean,
Yeah.
We're doomed.
okay.
No
the video
political
is
talk.
called
Hey, deity.
Worst Christmas Present
Right away, let's talk about politics.
yeah.
That's your political channel.
But it's like you hear these other reports saying that he had off planet meetings and whatnot, and you know, then you see other reports saying that wasn't never true, and I think he had several meetings. Whether they actually were off planet, I can't say for sure if they were off planet meetings or not.
Right.
What about Reagan? He had like a cryptic message when he was leaving. What if we had enemies, you know, beyond our own selves? You know, would that bring the world together or whatever? What would it take? You know? And I don't even think it would take that. I think that we are such a corrupt humanity is so corrupt that we wouldn't even be able to take sides on our own side if it came to it. Fully. That's the scary part, you know what I mean? We have people that have sold out, I believe, all of us.
Worst Christmas
Well, Sean said that they
Present
took Eisenhower to the moon.
ever. Hashtag Merry Christmas Lord on YouTube.
I mean, I think there's probably some type of
Oh, Jason.
military installation on the moon.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
look
why
it
we
up.
haven't been back there because they don't want us to know that we're there.
Worst Christmas present ever. Hashtag Merry Christmas Lord.
Hey, Jason. Yeah, this is just a test stream to see if people over in the UK area, Ireland, Scotland, anywhere over there, if they're up, they can have a chance to come on. If it works out well, then I'll
You
do
want me to
more.
come on? So you come on?
Yeah. Well, we know Ireland's getting it.
You should be able to get on. I think he's in that chat. So, hang out.
But
So,
He said,
Sue's,
yeah, what did his granddaughter say about that during that interview? I know she had one, but what exactly said was about what said about it?
Oh, she said a lot, man. She was talking about humans actually being on Mars and how she was actually solicited by the powers that be to be a resident in one of the colonies on Mars and how she turned it down.
Mm. But yeah, there's reports of people supposedly teleporting to Mars. They jumped through a time displacement of whatever you want to call it.
It's a jump room.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was in Texas. No, it was in LA. The building's still standing there today.
I think that was Project Pegasus, if I recall, in regards to the jump room technology.
But
Dr. Basiago, I think is his name. Basiago or Basiago. Made the jump along with supposedly Obama and a couple other people.
What the paranormal says, she had encounters with them as well. The daughter.
yeah. Yep. So, what other questions you guys got?
Who's next?
Burn.
Go on, Verminator.
I'm thinking.
Soccer too.
Thinking. Well, while he's thinking,
I had one like that I was going to ask you, and I can't remember what it is.
Something to do with entities being out there in the field that you see that are disc shaped.
No, don't mess with me right now. Hold on.
But while Vane thinks, why don't you do an intermission advert thing? So I believe there's a thing you've got up on Teespring, isn't there?
oh yeah,
This isn't my question, by the way.
oh, it's not. All right. Well, I recently started. Well, got some merchandise. I got a T-shirt and a sweatshirt that I made up, and
They're really cool too.
yeah, just give me a second so I can get the link and I'll post it in the chat. Somebody say something while in the meantime, so there's no dead air, please.
Crop circles.
But the hoodie is really badass. I got to say that again.
Crop circles, extraterrestrial origin.
Crop circles, I believe some may be
Or interdimensional. Or whatever. You know
fraudulent. But going across the whole entire world, I can't see people running around in the dark that extravagant and that precise measurements and everything, and get that done in, say, like 10 hours of darkness or whatever.
Some of
So
the
I think
crop circles are just impossible for someone to have done with ropes and boards. I'm sorry. But to get the shape and all the other stuff and the complex weaving of some of them, and they are woven. I've seen pictures of where the things are actually woven in the ground. How does that happen? And it's not woven where if somebody would have to sit there and put it together and stuff. You know what I mean?
And some of the nodules in the plants aren't ruptured; they're just bent.
And the electromagnetic like particles that are left over in some of them too, where they've actually read it with an EMF meter, and they've actually found them. They're like iron shavings or something. They're real fine, like an iron something or other involved.
I would say there's more than 50% that are man-made.
oh, I don't. You're gonna tell me that what they're gonna sit there and measure every more than 50% of the people that are faking it? You're gonna tell me that they're running around there with all this scientific equipment to make sure that everything is like absolutely 100% perfect? That's what you're saying?
But I'm saying that there are almost perfect crop circles that man has made that have passed inspection of crop circle investigators where they think they're real, but they're not.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think that there's anyone that.
Okay, I got one for you. And
Hold on, guys.
one night, throughout England, okay, throughout the whole country of England, not close by, there was 4 crop circles that were found on one night. And if it was by guys, how are they going to do it over hundreds of miles?
I would say the complex ones are probably not man-made. Most likely some type of intervention was caused, either interdimensional or extraterrestrial or some type of beam technology from space. All I know is that...
Well, there's one instance here I'm reading too where a farmer went out, he was doing something in his field, went back in to get something and came back out and the crop circle was there. It was there in like several
seconds.
Well, minutes or whatever, but not in a time where and it was during daylight hours too.
Yeah, a lot of them happen during the daylight.
So that's pretty unusual too.
Well, all I can say is, isn't it a pity that he didn't have a video camera on him, record the frigging thing and prove it to us? Because there is nothing when it comes to crop circles that to me proves that they are a legitimate thing made by UFOs. The majority of them, people say, oh my God, look at that, it's an amazing design. But there are faults in some of the simpler ones. There are a couple of crop circles which, as a piece of art, are magnificent. But I don't think aliens did it. I really don't. If you get maybe in the middle of a field, just grass being crushed or whatever, crop being crushed, where maybe something has actually landed, that's more believable than some fancy designs showing a DNA string or some of the absolutely spectacular ones, which are just like, wow.
There's one that I would question as being man-made because it went up overnight, and the one I'm talking about is the one from Milk Hill with all the multiple circles. I don't know if that could have been done overnight. Even there would have been signs of footprints in the field.
Yeah, but
there wasn't.
But you do get these people going out and doing it. Now, I'm not saying that they are doing these super impressive things, but I am thinking, have you ever heard of a flash mob where you get 2,000 people coming together and just suddenly freezing? Did you ever see the one the Black Eyed Peas did on Oprah Winfrey? Oh my God, the amount of people there and what they did. And they did it in a matter of hours. Thousands upon thousands of people meeting up to watch the Black Eyed Peas, and Oprah Winfrey goes on stage and they troll the fuck out of her. Now, if that many people will come together over something like that, why not crop circles? A lot of people are into it.
Although there would be evidence in the field of that many people entering the field and exiting it.
You would think so, yeah.
But in most cases of the larger designs, there have not been any signs of people except when they go there to look at it.
So they say, yeah.
Right, exactly.
I agree.
I'm talking like when they first discover it and fly over with a helicopter and they get close enough to it to where you can see it. Of course, you can't tell if there are footprints then, but you can tell whether there are any trails or tracks leading to the circle.
You would think so, yeah.
But I noticed that in British fields, you've got the straight lines of the tractor wheels. And a lot of times they could go to the circle in those lines. And if they follow those lines, you wouldn't see any trail. But to get around the outside edge of the circle, you would almost have to break that line. So there would have to be a trail.
You would expect so. You would
Yeah.
definitely expect so.
Or some type of damage to the crop. And like Vern was saying,
right here, there's a whole thing on the damage that's done that is obviously something to do with, because outside of where the stuff is tracked down, there's no EMF reading. It's below 40 on their scale, and they said that in the areas where they can measure these things and where they think is a real crop circle, not a counterfeit, they register 400 to 600 EMF.
yeah, and sometimes animals won't even approach the crop circle or go into them, which is weird.
Interesting enough, Tammy White in the chat said, "How are they happening in the daylight and no one observing anything or hearing sounds?"
I just read there is eyewitnesses. There's a whole list. You have to look them up. You just have to look for it. There's a taxi driver that witnessed it, and why he didn't pull out a camera or whatever, you have to ask him. I don't know. I don't have those answers. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Or hearing craft sounds or animals in the area reacting to them.
Well, I don't know if we would hear sounds because the object that I saw that went into that portal made no sound at all. And it was close enough for me to put my spotlight on it, clearly illuminated. So.
Hi, Mojo.
Sean wants to know, ask me what I think about aliens and angels and demons. Some people actually there's I don't even there's some religious channels here on YouTube that they talk about that, and there's one particular video that's saying that people that believe in that they claiming that aliens and ghosts are nothing but angels and demons.
Oh yeah, I know.
So I don't know.
Then you got the one saying demons are aliens. The other
personally, I think that there are demons. I think that there's a demon scale from 0 to 10. 10 being the strongest, being pretty much Lucifer himself. And it just depends on what. You think so? I don't think so. As I'm given an explanation here, that Sean just said in the chat, I think some aliens are demons and angels, but that alien non-extraterrestrial or non-terrestrial exist.
I don't know if you can really call the way we define things the way we do accurately. We call things aliens and interdimensional. We may be aliens. We may be affected by aliens. We may be living amongst aliens and not even know it. You know what I'm saying? Because the extraordinary abilities of a species that's evolved way beyond us, or even created this whole place that we think that we take for granted, that we think was just one day just spontaneously happened. Whatever, you know what I mean? I think it's a little bit more orchestrated than just being spontaneous. I think there's an order and a lawful order that is set somehow or some way that we're subjected to, but it also can be defined. So there's natural law, and then there's the way to manipulate it, I guess. But,
the thing is that even the Hubble, they just released a new photograph, and supposedly in this photograph they have 15,000 galaxies in this one photograph.
Right.
I mean, that just solidifies what I've been saying all along. Is like, if you really simplicity thinking, not even complex thinking at all. If you truly just think about it, it's like, how vast is the universe? How huge is the universe? And you get how many galaxies? Countless, billions.
Yeah, it's so vast and it's so unknown to us that we really don't even know what we're looking at. We could be looking at reflections of things that maybe not even there. You know what I'm saying? That we don't know without being able to travel there or even navigate or whatever. We are like sperm going to the egg, I guess, is the way it right now. We can't even get off this planet really, very far. We think we can and all that, but as far as putting a human being like on Mars, as far as the is concerned or whatever, even on the moon, it's almost impossible to have put them there for any longer than a few hours. And to go to Mars requires months of preparation and travel there. So for us to make the big leap to Mars, it's a one-way trip for those people right now. That's all we need.
What I find funny about what you were talking about there, about the size of the universe and all of that, is we can't even trust our eyes.
Yep.
We cannot trust our eyes because when we see one of these distant freaking galaxies, it's that far away that it mightn't even be there anymore. Because the light takes so long to get from it to us. That galaxy could have got sucked in by a black hole and not exist, and we mightn't even know for another 70,000 years.
Or 70 million years.
True.
God knows.
Or 7 years or whatever. But it also might be that we're expanding in the universe and we're moving, as far as that's concerned, completely off of our own position. So we're not even in the position to even calculate where the other position is, where they would be looking at us. So, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal if you think about it. And if you can figure out how to go dimensional travel, and there is something out there that can, because I've seen it, or whatever it was doing, it went into another world. It went into another world that was as close to this world as it possibly can get without being here, and yet was another world completely foreign to this one.
Well,
don't you think it's sad, though, that we can't trust our own eyes?
Yeah, but when it's 20 feet away from me, I think I can trust it, and I can put a spotlight on it, and I can have it see, reflect, and cause an action, kind of a reaction to me putting the spotlight on it. And because it did not interact with me until I put that spotlight on it, and when I put that spotlight on it, it reacted to that immediately and in a negative manner. You know what I mean? So it obviously was affected by it. It was obviously there and went into a world where I could see other things that was not like this world at all. Completely, it would be a completely alien world to us, or environment, or place, or whatever. Maybe another universe. I don't know. Maybe dimensions are universes. Maybe the multiverse is all a dimensional bubble. You know what I mean? And somehow these bubbles are able to coexist within each other and without each other.
yeah.
Oh, I can? Yeah.
Tim actually hit on a question, and I can't seem to find it in the chat now.
Okay, but hold on. Don't ask right now.
What was the first question that you asked there, UFO man, in the chat?
I'd have to go back up and check it. Hold on. Could alien life in ancient times been interpreted by people as demons?
That could be they could have been interpreted as demons, or they could have been interpreted as gods.
And then Sean said, and angels as well.
Are gonna go down the street.
And then I put the Anunnaki were said to have had wings, i.e. angels.
Yeah, but
You go around.
some of us, whatever religion that everyone belongs to, it's cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna go from my standpoint. Okay,
Right.
I was born Catholic, baptized, confirmed, first communion, did the whole 9 yards, go to church every Sunday, blah blah blah. Okay,
Right.
we're supposed to believe in angels. We're supposed to believe in demons. If you don't believe in heaven and hell, if you don't believe in hell, you don't believe in heaven. Okay. This thing, my point is that me specifically, I don't know where. We're always taught that you're not supposed to believe everything that you read. Okay, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in the Bible. I believe some parts of the Bible, yes, but I don't think that I believe in the whole thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. There's so many references in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, that references to ghosts. I mean, it talks about the Holy Spirit.
And then
it's a spirit.
I'll be like down the street and then I'll round the corner.
So how can not everyone believe that there's spirits?
So and then I'll like.
And if there was one, I do believe that there's one higher power that controls everything. Yes, I do believe that. Whether it's God or whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, there's a higher power there. But my point is that, or my question is, if there is one higher power that controls everything, wouldn't we all be made from the same thing?
Yeah. We're all made from stardust.
So if we're made from stardust, I mean, even
they say radioactive carbon comes from. It's from the fusion in the sun.
What the heck is his name?
Oh, yeah,
God, I can't remember his name up there right now. It's going to bother me now. Who was on Cosmos, the first show of Cosmos? Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
Even he believed that we were made from stardust.
Yeah, I think I heard that once.
So if that's the case, so okay, so if we're made from stardust, then
everything we are was created at the moment that the universe was created. Everything is aged the same age. Actually,
exactly.
But we seem to think that we can differentiate that with our radiocarbon dating, which is really only accurate to 100,000 years. Anything beyond 100,000 years is a pretty big speculation. That they'll say, "Oh, well, it's all accurate," but there's no reference to how accurate it really is because we really don't know. It's
right.
It's the biggest source and conclusion that we've ever come up with. Because if you invented radiocarbon and who is affiliated with, you'll go, because it's so wishy-washy. Funny. They say there's another thing they can do is they can burn stuff. But see, once again, everything was created at the moment of creation. Now, there might be that elements break down into other elements, okay? And there is a possibility that you might be able to gauge the time on that, but that isn't always applicable everywhere in the universe where you have radiation and other things affecting those ways that we calculate. So I really don't think it's accurate. I don't think we can actually accurately really date the entire thing. I mean, every time they turn around, they're like, "Oh, it's older than we thought it was. It's 24 billion years old now." We went from 5 billion to 24 billion years. Then they're back to 16 billion. Then they're up to 30 billion. Then finally somebody comes along and that's semi-bright and says we really can't determine it because it's expanding and blah blah blah. Obviously, because they can't even tell you what's on the bottom of the ocean, let alone what's on the sun, the surface of the sun, or what the sun's doing. It's all opinions and speculation. That's my point.
Okay, we got Dan Matthews. Major shout out from Bot Manor, England. Thank you for coming.
Somewhere else.
And I'm Wistiano Ronaldo.
And then I'm not gonna be with them anymore. I'm gonna act like.
How you doing? Welcome. Has a question. Do you think Bigfoot is an alien?
Yeah.
I think Bigfoot is possibly like an elemental. It helps. It takes care of the land,
If you get any closer, I'll do it.
and it can phase in and out at will. Probably most likely like a skinwalker.
Wait, what? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can I ask my question now?
By all means, go right ahead.
Oh my god, how long has the stream been going?
I can check that out for you.
So it's only a short question. Tell me everything you know about Roswell, and then tell me your opinion on it.
Okay, Roswell, New Mexico. Actually, there was back in 1947. There was a UFO that crashed. Except it wasn't Roswell. And a lot of people don't know that. It was actually 50 miles away in a small town called Rachel.
Ironically.
Yes. And it wasn't just one UFO. There was 2 UFOs that crashed. Allegedly.
Oh yeah.
And the United States government came in. Supposedly they recovered 3 bodies. And there also have been reports of there was a live alien that they had captured. And
right,
there was a big major setup. Major Jesse Marcel came in. He was head of the 509th, which was in that division was putting up weather balloons at that time to, I guess the device that was attached to the weather balloon was supposed to be able to detect any Russian activity in the atmosphere, whether if they're releasing something or whatever the case may be. And first the United States government stated they have one, they have a flying saucer, and then the next day they recanted their story and made Major Marcel take a picture holding up debris, a few sticks and a piece of aluminum foil from the weather balloon. And my opinion on it, there's 500 witnesses that say that there was 2 discs that crashed, and there was 3 dead bodies and 1 alive. And I think the United States government covered it up. I think that's where all of our technology is coming from.
How would a place like Roswell, Jax, misidentify a weather balloon when they were used to launching them every day? There'd be no way that they would misidentify them. There was something else there.
One of the people said, even my dog knew what a weather balloon looked like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why would a weather balloon, even though it has a long tether, Why would a weather balloon create a divot in the ground that extended over a mile in length with a bunch of debris everywhere?
True.
It wouldn't happen.
Oh, well, that was because, didn't you hear about the weather balloon? It wasn't just an ordinary weather balloon. It was Project Mogul. Shh.
Oh, yeah, a mylar balloon.
It had the exact same equipment on, almost, as all the other friggin' weather balloons, but it was also being sent up, and it was not so much what it had on board as monitoring equipment that was important. It was what the information was being used for, because they were launching the odd balloon, and the information coming back was it detecting radiation or some sort of gamma rays? It was all to do with nuclear launches, and they were
In
trying to
Russia.
find out if the Russians were launching like ballistic missiles and crap.
What if that was just a cover and it was actually that
Or
all the
nuclear
UFO
stuff.
sightings actually spontaneous? They've sent up a bunch of these balloons with beacons in them that cause interference with the UFO, causing it to crash and wrapping around one of those balloons that came down, scattering also the balloon debris. So it made it easy for them to be able to debunk it, saying it was balloon debris, because there was also balloon debris there mixed up with the UFO debris.
No, whatever came down at Roswell, something came down, whether it was a UFO, whether it was an experimental plane. But there is no friggin' way it was a friggin' balloon, whether it be
Today
an
was
ordinary weather balloon or Project Mogul. You know, fucking bullshit. Something came down. Now
Yeah,
it may have
they
been
would
one of
tell you
our own.
today. They would declassify it today because it wouldn't matter, and they would have all the information on that crash happening, and they don't have it. So therefore,
Uh,
it happened.
I don't know. It would depend on what was contained in that file. I mean, we're all made up when they release these new files. And what are we looking at? A piece of paper that 90% of it is probably blotted out.
Okay, well, what are
And,
they going to
and
do?
that's their disclosure. What the fuck? If you've got information from secret agents, take their names out, but leave the rest of the fucking story.
Yes.
A person's name can't be that long.
Sorry to interrupt, but third phase of moon is here in the chat.
Huh.
And they said, hey, Blake and Brent, how are you? We spoke with Jesse Marcel Jr., and he touched the metal. He said the metal is not from this world. Yes. He ended up, Major Marcel brought a bunch of debris home, and he let his son have a piece of it.
I can send Blake a link if you want.
If he wants to come on.
Yeah, see,
But
I
it's,
think
I mean, I believe, you know what? Major Marcel was in charge of that whole thing. He's not going to make that type of a mistake.
he wasn't a retard.
Exactly.
He knew what he saw. And he got posed with them friggin' pictures. That fake crap. Now, whether it was from outer space or whether it was something still ahead of what we know of, because they've still got crap they're not showing us. They're always hiding from us. You know, hiding stuff from us.
Well, they just said that they were the last to interview Major Marcel. Really? Or are you talking about junior or senior?
Senior.
Has to be junior. Wish I could have interviewed him.
Oh, goodness.
So your thoughts on that are something did crash? Was it from outer space?
Absolutely, something crashed.
Was it from outer space? Not of The swirl.
Yeah, there was 500 witnesses.
If Blake wants to come on, I got 2 links sent to him. And that's all. Jason has one too. I sent one to him too.
Yeah, because even Third Phase of Moon is saying it is like they had like it looked like a little piece of aluminum foil, and they crumpled it up in their hand, and then they opened up their hand, and then it would poof right back to its original shape, no creases in it, nothing.
It's like Flexon. Have you ever seen Flexon glass frames? It's the same technology. It came from that same specimen. When they finally were able to crack it and make it, they actually funded it by selling really expensive. I had a pair, and you can crumble them up and you can put them in the windowsill in the sun, and they would go right back to their original form that they're memorized.
It's called memory metal.
Yeah, memory metal. They call it Flexon is the name brand for the glasses, but it's I forget it's a titanium something else. It's a titanium derivative, though, I believe, but it has barium or something else in it. It's a weird metal.
I mean, you get that many. I mean, not only that, but explain how most of the witnesses, all of a sudden, they started dying one by one. Is that just mere coincidence?
No. Radiation from that could have been factor too.
People die.
And everyone's going to die, but I mean, there's times where it becomes unnatural or too many coincidences, like everyone dies at the same time or dies under suspicious circumstances or radiation or something like that, where there's obviously something, a culprit involved, maybe. And there was some exotic stuff dumped out of there. You don't know, chemical wise, what could have been dumped out of there.
Well, duh. The last freaking stream, last night's stream was all about that. You know what I mean? God knows what they're fucking pumping into the atmosphere.
Yeah. Don't know.
That was the whole freaking point of last night's stream.
No, I'm talking about the UFO when it crashed.
Yeah, no, but you just mentioned about stuff getting pumped out into the atmosphere and all of that.
And those other things involved with it too. Wow. I mean, the video I shot literally showed a plane laying down a chemtrail with those UFOs around it. So, I mean, what is the correlation? And that, didn't you think that plane was kind of weird too? I mean, I shot it for perspective and scale, but now when I looked at it a couple of other times, it sure looked weird. Like
Alien Addict, how you doing, brother? No time to see.
You're gonna have to you'll have to send him a link because I don't have Alien Addict on my list.
I don't. Ollie, if you can, add me in Hangouts, mate.
Yeah, I'd spoken to him. He said he wanted to come in our group. So.
I just sent the link in the chat.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, just Major Marcel's not going to make that type of mistake. He's not. He's not. He was ordered to sit there. That's why I think it was between what he says that he brought home and was ordered to bring it all back. His kids touched it.
Yeah.
And then ordered to bring it back, and then everything disappeared, and then have him pose for those crap photographs the next day.
Yeah, because he didn't recognize balsa wood and freaking silver foil.
Yeah, really, huh?
Whatever.
Oh, Jax, you might want to tell Blake that I'm validated.
Huh?
Blake, tell him that I'm validated, that I'm not batshit crazy. Everything I told him was true, so you can reiterate that for me. Now, finally.
Yes. I actually, back in July, first week of July, I made a little trip out to California. I ended up going over to Nevada and ended up going to Burns' house. And he took us out to this place where within 2 minutes of getting out of the car that we were witnessing stuff.
But make it clear as well, it wasn't just you and Vern.
Mhm.
There
Right.
was Alex. And there
Alex.
was Dave. The
Alex
count
was there,
found
yes.
And
with
Dave.
you.
Dave was there. So everything that he says that he sees, he sees.
And then some.
And some. Third phase of moon in 1947, a report of the U.S. Army when they said that they had found a crashed flying saucer. That was the truth. Later they covered it up. Yes.
But Blake and Brent, Vern is a little bit batshit crazy sometimes. If you ever see what he does with his camera, you will understand.
Well,
But-
to be an
No
entertainer, you have to
comment.
be crazy.
Love you, Vern.
But do you want to be entertained?
Of course you do.
Yeah.
You don't want to be scared, but I'm sorry, you're going to go out there and you're going to be scared. 'Cause sooner or later, they're going to scare you. They do it to everyone. So it's the rite of passage. You ever think that aliens have a sense of humor?
I would think so.
Yeah, if it's true that they did create us, they have a hell of a sense of humor, don't they?
I mean, there's all kinds of theories out there on what whether we came from Mars. I don't know. It's all speculation, but who knows where we actually came from? Could Mars have been a dying planet and they came here and put whatever was left of the Mars civilization here? Or are we a totally different breed? I don't have that answer.
The human being comes in every shade imaginable.
Yeah, Jax, quick fire, hot shot. The face on Mars. What is it?
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that I might incriminate myself.
You shit bag.
I plead the fifth.
Oh my god.
And does the jump room actually connect to the face on Mars?
Oh, fucking hell. Can we boot Tim as well?
No.
He's the moderator now.
Who Took My Mojo said the Aztec New Mexico crash happened earlier than Roswell. They covered that one up too. Richard Dolan speaks about that even early encounter. Yes, there was actually, I want to say, and I'm saying this wrong, Cape Kiddo in Missouri. There was a UFO crash, and they covered that one up. Is that the one that you're talking about? Who Took My Mojo?
Hey, Alex.
What? Alex?
Alex.
Alex.
In the chat.
Alex.
Jump on, Alex.
Yeah, so let me put the link in here.
Yeah, everyone jump on. Say something.
Third phase of moon. What do you guys think of this? Of the Discovery Channel's USO statements?
I don't trust them.
I don't think that I've ever heard their statements.
Haven't either.
I don't trust them. Only because of the mermaid stuff that they put on there for a while.
Mermaid stuff.
Because the Animal Planet and Discovery, they're all the same. They're all owned by the same parent company.
But it's no, get back to the face of Mars. I mean, that's a funny thing because you look at some photographs, it's like, oh my God, it looks like something that could be like, it could actually be a legitimate face. And then other pictures, you look at it and like, that doesn't look like, that doesn't even look the same. So it's hard to tell with that. Oh yeah, the Cooper Treasure Program. Yeah. Yeah, that was in a, I think I remember that now. That was like unexpected at the time when they caught that. But I don't know what
the hell?
What?
Oh, my computer is acting funny.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I've got one.
Sure.
When you think about going to a place that you would associate with UFOs, whether it be old friggin' places or somewhere where you were hoping to maybe capture something, right? A lot of people would, or the likes of myself would think Area 51. That's associated with UFOs. That's where I'd like to go and photograph them. Where would be the one place in the world you would like to go? Say you were going to be there for 24 hours or 2 days. You know, spend a couple of nights under the stars there. Where in the world would you go?
I would have to go to Area 51, I think. I would have to go to Area 51 because whether if it's alien technology or it's our own technology, I want answers. Because I think that personally, I think that the reason why I say that is because whatever happened in 47, I mean, think about it. Whatever happened in 1947, okay, let's face it, we're pretty much all across the board on what happened there, okay? And if what they had there, what they ended up taking from there, I believe they stored it at Area 51. And I think that that's where all of our technology, if you really, think about it, all our technology has been skyrocketing. It's still not as where it should be, but it has skyrocketed in the last 70 years or so.
Yeah. the last 20 years, especially in semiconductor.
When you say it's not as good as it should be, that's probably because you don't know what they've got anymore. They've got stuff way ahead of what we think.
Right.
Still experimental, but they always have a technology higher than what we see.
Yeah, they could build hard
See.
drives. They already have the technology, I've heard, to build hard drives, that they could build a hard drive that's a laptop hard drive size or whatever, that's not even solid state, that is a spinning disk that they can that basically is so large you'd never have to have another drive again to store your stuff on. I mean, they have that technology in place. They just don't allow you to have it because they can't sell you every increment. And like, notice how every increment it doubles every year. You know, the memory size of everything, it doubles every year. Well, they already have the stuff. They've actually engineered it. They've actually got the final product at the end, but they've actually had to bring it down in order to make all the money off it.
I mean, the whole thing.
I'm tagging you.
I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the whole thing, I mean, think about it. Even like when the periodic table, element 115, I mean, when that, where do you think that came from?
That originally came from crash disks, but they did find a way to actually create that in a lab in space shuttle missions.
Right, but that was after the fact, though.
Right after the fact, exactly.
They did theorize its existence before they ever had it or in their possession. I mean, they've theorized it elements past 170. So, I mean, the biggest step was when they came up when they were able to create Lawrencerium, which was like after plutonium.
Now, I mean, since I just want to know the truth. I just and unfortunately, I don't think any of us are going to see that in our lifetime. They can sit there and tease us with little bits and pieces of information and whatnot, but that's not going to give us the whole truth. It's like these videos that, Stars Academy or whoever these people are, and Tom DeLonge, and releasing all this stuff, these little short clips of videos and stuff like that. And the bottom line of that question is like, where is the full video? I want to see the whole video. They keep talking about these fleets. It was a fleet of UFOs, but the video only shows one. Where's the rest of it?
I loved you.
Yeah. Oh, guess what? Just kidding.
I want to see the rest of it.
Did you hear the music?
I want to know what kind of, what are they expecting by not?
It's a Shrek remix.
What are they expecting that the general public is going to do if they give a full disclosure?
Not be enslaved anymore. Not be their little boys and girls that go to work every day for them and produce the whole entire world that they can manipulate us like a game, like it's a freaking board game, or a simulation game. Because that's what we are, like Sim City and all that stuff. That's just like a model of our real life, and only it's really run that way by someone pressing buttons.
No, I totally disagree. The thing they're worried about is they are actually doing this in their own weird and not so nice way. But sometimes you have to choose numbers. You sacrifice the few for the good of the many. They're doing this stuff possibly to protect us, because if that information came out tomorrow with the way everything is with people's opinions, you got more people believing in the topic of UFOs and stuff like that. But if they were to bring this out and just slam it out there, every religion in the world makes no fucking sense.
Catholic Church already knows about it.
Yeah, maybe some people, but the majority of Catholics don't think that their religion is fake. The people that believe in religion, and that is a huge population, the majority of people probably in this room, or certainly watching the stream, believe in religion, no matter what one it is. That would be devastating for the way our society is. And then you'd have the people who would panic. Oh shit, there's aliens. We need to go underground. We need to fucking break into that store tonight and grab all the supplies and to the hills.
I think they're going to expose them as they live amongst us. It's going to expose.
It would cause chaos. They've got to do it slowly, which is unfortunate because I'll probably never get to see the friggin' day.
Might go faster than you think.
Or I'll be waiting for the statement to come out. And I'll croak it.
Faith. You have no faith in me, do you? One of these days, I'm going to show up there, and we'll be going for a ride around the solar system. I promise. We can flip off somebody on our way out of there. Not only Jack, somebody else too.
I reckon Tim's a good candidate. As we fly past Tim, we could be like, "Smell you later."
I mean, just like
I saw that.
Just like UFO Man said, could the Space Force be a soft disclosure of a secret space fleet as discovered by hacker Gary McKinnon?
I think so.
Quite probably.
I think it's already seen it.
I think the Space Force or the secret space program or whatever it is, I think it's already up there. Yeah. I think it's already done.
Oh yeah,
been around.
It's a way of them coming clean.
Yeah, the Black Pyramid.
Because even in the last, say, 15 years, how many times has everyone heard that there's an asteroid going to hit Earth? That's it. End of days. Nothing we can do. And then all of a sudden, clear out of the blue, it says, "Oh, it's going to miss us by so many millions of miles." Hello, how does that work? Unless you have something up there with some type of laser or something blasting the trajectory of that asteroid to get it that far away from Earth so it doesn't hit us.
Well, they've already talked about doing stuff like that.
I know they talked about it, but I think they're doing it.
I think that's where the railgun technology came from, actually. Because the railgun, they can shoot in space. And it has just incredible velocity, and there's nothing to slow it down when it's in space. It could be quite a weapon. Think about it. Hypervelocity. You know, they say a chip, a fragment, like a chip of paint, like the smallest little tiny chip of paint, when the space shuttle was in orbit, that if it struck the windshield, it was the same as if it was on the ground being shot with a .22 long rifle gun. A speck, just a speck.
Right. It's just that it's so many. Yes, Reagan's speech. Yes, that's yeah.
Yeah, Reagan's speech. We talked about that too.
Yeah, I mean that speech was pretty epic. I mean, if that didn't hit home,
the TR-3B and TR-4B, 5B, 6B, what are we ever up to now? What, TR-8B or something now?
You know, it's like we all of us all around the world, we would forget all the problems and come together as one. Because we would have to, because if something came down from outer space that was threatening our world, we'd have to join together as one. That's what that speech was all about.
Yeah. That was prepping us for this space force.
I'm getting a little tear in my eye.
Really? Paradise Lost.
Oh, Mr. Cupid, do you need a tissue?
Please.
But it's yes. Oh, I watch that speech like every month, at least once every month.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't like Reagan, but you know what? I liked Reagan.
I like Reagan, but then again,
He was an established player.
no, then again, I kind of like Trump.
Yeah, but
Oh.
you know, Reagan had a hell of a sense of humor. He was pretty funny too. You know, I mean, he did make his own jokes up, though. I think.
You know, it's I don't know. You know, it's like people talk about, and we're going off a little bit off subject here with this too. People talk about, you know, you hear sometimes people mention that, you know, eventually all across the world we're all going to come together under one government. Okay, who's going to make that decision? Who's going to dictate? Who's going to what?
Look up.
Like if it's going to be the United States, if we're all going to live under the United States government or the Russian government, who's going to make that decision?
When the disclosure is final, they will. Because they're the ones that run us, they control us. They'll decide what's up. Won't be our say, per se. I think it's going to be done by a computer. I think in the future it'll be like a computer AI device that's probably what we would call of alien origin, and it will be our governor, and it'll manage us, and that way we'll all have the right to have a life and a place to live on this planet, and then anything else, it'll decide whether you profit or not, or you can be exceptional or treated differently. And we'll have it'll be a class-like system in some aspects, but it'll be a free enterprise. It won't be like where you're born into a class situation. It'll be how hard you work for it, I think, is what it's going to be. You can be a prisoner here, or they can take you off here and you can go and intermingle with other primitive species that are like a zoo. It's like we're in a living zoo of different tiers of species, and every species has to answer to another higher species. And there's, like Michio Kaku said, there's these civilizations that are so more advanced that they don't even think like we can't even fathom how they think or how they run themselves or whatever, because it'd probably be entirely artificial or mechanical, you know, maybe in a lot of aspects.
Right. Even Alien Addict just asked the question, would you trust disclosure? Actually,
I don't know.
Actually, my opinion, no, I wouldn't, because they've been lying to us for so long now. And then all of a sudden they're going to do a full disclosure and we're supposed to trust their word. The heck was that? No, it just
Oh, girl,
I don't know. What do you think? You? No cues on?
I think with all the conspiracies that the governments across the world have done to hide stuff from their own people, it'd be kind of hard to sit there and believe anything that they say.
I agree. I have a hard time knowing that, you know, like I told you many times, the very first actual UFO craft that I knew it was an absolute flying craft. It wasn't just a light up there or whatever. I could see exactly what it was. I thought that's a UFO, and the second thought I had was the government's been lying to us. Like I overwhelmingly had this feeling interjected into me that I knew right then and there, and I never felt so low in my life. Here I'm looking at something that's so amazing as a UFO, and yet I feel bad about seeing it now because I know our government isn't for us. It's not there for us. It's It's a shill. There's like different tiers of it that operate at different levels or what within its own network or whatever. And they know there's somebody in there, and they fully have contact with them, I believe, and have had contact with them for a long time. Like no BS.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just disappointing to know that here you think you're an American, and you're brought up to be proud of the country and think that you're the greatest country in the world. You believe in all this stuff, and only to turn out that your country's only as good as your government. Your government's no good. It's corrupt. Is doing evil, and there's no good reason why they would do that, other than power. They delegate power here a certain way, and they can convince or whatever, you know what I mean? Just because somebody's a higher species doesn't mean that they necessarily think at our level. They have people that are ambassadors for them, and there's no doubt about it, that interact and relay the message. Like those stones, the Georgia stones, where did they come from?
Right. Yep.
I mean, and I agree with the Georgia stones actually wholeheartedly. I think they're right in what they're saying. We need to at least eliminate the petty of our criminal system and not turn it into a justice system that's for profit. It's supposed to be there to right wrong and rehabilitate maybe some and seek justice and punish others. But we don't even do that anymore. It's like, we manufacture a place where we put people that are not that evil with people that are evil, and they all become evil, And that's supposed to be right? Two wrongs making a right, I guess?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, think about if you're an advanced species, okay, just say that we did evolve on this planet or whatever, or is this or that, and they found us by accident or whatever, and they come down here, and they've been monitoring us and watching us for quite a period of time, and maybe influenced us, in subtle ways or whatever. They're not going to think too highly of us as far as, when we come up with a nuclear bomb where we also haven't figured out how we can use that nuclear bomb to propel us in space, maybe enough to where we could become a threat to someone else one day. We could start slinging bombs out, and they could end up blowing up stuff that sets things off kilter. We've got to be something that they either are intrigued by or worried by or something, but we drew attraction to us in many possibility ways, but they're here. That's all I can say. You know what I mean? I know they're here. Whatever it is here, I have not seen one physically where I can say it's anything. The only thing I can say is that I've seen the screened image of whatever was projected as a humanoid, like a human being, but I only saw a shadow. So,
well, that's just like Cooper's just saying now. I've always said we don't need 5% to be true. All we need is one case, just one.
That's all it needs.
Right, but at the same point, it's like, okay,
it's hard to prove, though.
We've all had our own encounters, okay? Whether it be ghosts, UFOs,
all related.
both, Bigfoot, whatever the case may be, most of us have had some type of a paranormal encounter.
Agreed.
So, the people that have had encounters know that this stuff is real. You don't need any other people or governments to come clean and give a disclosure.
They could be mistaken. They could be mistaken.
Millions of people.
But for somebody who has had something genuine, yes, that person knows.
There was a point in my life where I believed or I didn't believe. And there's a point in my life that now I don't have that luxury anymore. I don't know if it comes with a responsibility, what it comes with. I don't know. I was never prepared for it. I was never told, Vern, if you come on this or whatever, this is how you need to act or whatever. I was told, and I believe that it was all made up, make believe, whatever. It didn't exist. Over, active imaginations. Maybe people were high. I don't know. Until I started going through it. You know what I mean? And as I was younger, when I would have little encounters or little sightings and stuff, I would just go home. I'd tell my parents or something, and they'd laugh, and I'd move on. Go on with my life. I learned to live, and go on with the stuff, and then I put it in the backside of my head, and wasn't even something I think about. I'd really have to jog my thoughts to bring up these memories that all of a sudden were literally buried, you know. And I think part of it is that we are conditioned to react a certain way, anyways. And trying to break that conditioning is the most difficult thing, you know. I mean, some people can't be conditioned, you know. We're the small percentage that aren't, for whatever reason.
Yeah. Alien Addict says, Jax, you ever think that UFOs and ghosts could be linked? Yes, I do.
I do
Absolutely,
too.
I do.
Said that all along.
Because even with the aliens, if you think about it, some aliens could very well be nothing but energy, correct? So therefore, when we leave this vessel, what is the soul? Pretty much, it's nothing but energy, correct?
Or interdimensional.
Or interdimensional. That's something that has been a theory for mine for quite a while. And through my research and through my investigating, that's one of the things that I'm going to try to prove.
Can I say one thing going back to disclosure? I have to say this real quick. Some people, no matter whether they believe in what they saw or not, need verification from a position of authority, from somebody in authority, to tell them, yes, what you saw was real. We know this based on our findings. And that's why they're looking for disclosure. Otherwise, most of us who are in the field who have had an encounter already accept the fact that they're real.
Right, but who are you going to look towards for that authority? You already know the government is going to sit there. It has already been lying to us.
Right.
So who are you going to look to for that confirmation?
I don't know. I think most people are looking to the president. But no president has ever come clean.
Well, no going in has ever been clean either. I mean, you know, that's part of how they manipulate them, is the skeletons they carry in the closet that they hold over you. You know, it's like they extort. I mean, there's a balance of government, yes, but it's also an unbalanced thing because they use corruption. We never thought of. You know, the forefathers never thought of it being. You know, we don't have a perfect person to be a representative. We're all not perfect, but on top of that, we never put in place an ability for the citizens to actually enact authority over the government. We don't, other than voting, and voting is corrupted. Voting is really a waste of time, especially for president, because we don't really vote for president.
Don't you think possibly people are looking to people in authority, not necessarily in political positions, but maybe people on YouTube, for instance, who seem to have the answers? That's why everybody goes to different channels like Thursdays and Vern.
Well, because of being in the fringe science, it is not being really adopted by and the you know, let's face it, like cable TV and satellite TV, they're completely controlled by one group. Okay, and I've already researched this. Okay, it's all owned by a shill. They're trillionaires basically. They own all the media companies and everything. Okay, that includes cable. That includes satellite. And there's really no place. Dan Aykroyd tried to have a channel. Okay, and here's a perfect example. and he was threatened out of his channel. Basically, he was told that if he continued on with his channel, that something would happen to his family and stuff. They threatened his family. Somebody or something did, beyond where it wasn't even traceable by him. And he's a very famous person who has lots of money, lots of resources, and he was scared out of his channel. Okay, so
Then why does
that up there? Okay, so I know I've been freaking buzzed by some sort of aircraft that was like a drone, but it was made to look like a scaled down like fighter jet or whatever. I was actually buzzed by one night, or one early in the morning and stuff up on a hill, and several times, and I thought the thing was going to hit me. It was going to attack me. And who's to say? I'm out in the woods or whatever, and they come along and they find somebody shot or whatever. They could easily cover it up, say, "Oh, he was just shot by a stray round," because everybody's back there shooting. There's so many ways that they can cover things up or whatever, or threaten people. That's why it doesn't happen. That's why YouTube's the only avenue. They can't control YouTube, but they're trying to. They try to demonetize these channels. They've tried to create all kinds of burdens for us and put us under a microscope. And they can't filter it all out. And when it comes to this level, they can't filter it all out. So they let some of it go. They actually embrace some of the ones, because some of the ones that are entertaining, that way they can make people laugh and go, "Ha, see, it's not real." It gives them, a perfect out or whatever. That's why it's important that people understand that if they want the truth to be known or whatever, that they have to play by the rules too. They can't put something up there and expect to earn money or whatever, and expect it to be where it isn't hurting what they're doing, if that's what they're trying to do. And that's why we talked to Tim about it, and Tim puts it up there with a thing saying, "Don't necessarily believe it. Do your own research."
Right.
Yeah, remain an open mind. That's what we're trying to do here. We don't want to. Nothing we want to do here. We want to stage or make a drama or a reenactment or whatever. I want it to be factual, real, to the point. That's how I want to be.
And if we can't make a definitive answer, then we will say alleged.
I didn't hear one word he just said.
Yeah, somebody was coming through with an echo there.
When we can't make a definitive answer sometimes, and when we can't, then we tend to list it as alleged, meaning it could be or it might not be. But no matter what, like I've always said to a couple of members in our hangout group, I've said, a spaceship could actually land right in front of you. An alien get out, walk up to you, hand you a device, say, "Hey, here, keep it, show it to people." Then get into his craft and fly away. What would happen? Within 10 to 15 minutes, you'd be questioning, did that really happen? Was that really real? And then the next day, you'd be like, nah, that didn't happen. That couldn't have happened. And then you'd see the device, and you'd be like, well, what's this? That's exactly what would happen, yeah.
Because I've done it before. I've seen things and and I think I want to tell someone. I'm like, no, I don't want to tell anybody because I just don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it because I don't want people to make fun of me or think that I'm special or something or whatever. It took me a long time to come out and say what I said. You know what I mean? And that a lot of the major stuff happened to me recently. But I had stuff happen to me 20 years ago that was pretty intense. You know what I mean? That's why I know the paranormal and the UFO. There is definitely connections. There's direct connections to the two because I have experienced both of them, and it was a progress of both of them, of two worlds converging. There's no doubt about it for me because I had to have both of them in order to get where I'm at and understand. Or else, I mean, literally, the things that I've seen would drive you crazy, drive anybody nuts. I mean, seriously, if you to experience the things or whatever without having conditioning or being prepared for it, I would have been driven nuts because I wouldn't have known how to control it. I would have wanted to tell people because you know what? When you see something like that, you want to tell people. Trust me. But then you don't want to. But you don't want to believe it's true either. You're like battling two sides. You're like, oh God, did it really happen or this or that? But then it's like I want to tell people about what happened, but I have to believe that it happened because it's so unbelievable. It's where I started taking a video camera out there and I tried to shoot video as much as I could for my own use, where I could go back and review it and say, oh my God, because there was times that there was stuff and it still happens that I capture that I get the one object, but there's other things going on that I didn't see. I couldn't see. They weren't visually acceptable. You know what I mean, to the naked eye. But
Yeah, who took my mojo is saying, please share it, Vern.
Should I try to do it on the other? I'll see how this works, but I'll swing my arm around here.
Oh, he has excellent points all the time. Let me put Vern on the main screen. That might be way too bright.
Just don't want to. Come on. Yeah, I'm gonna close this down, open so because I don't want to. And my password thing's open. So.
Okay.
Just when I get it open, then I'll put it back on. Just I don't like to give people, if somebody's hacking or something, the
Yes.
the keys to the kingdom.
Gotcha.
Okay. Is that good, or should I zoom in a little more?
Marianne!
I can't hear you. You're muted.
I know I'm talking to family members.
Okay. What happened?
See, before when you guys were talking about does another person's opinion and maybe depending on what their job in society is or whatever, does that change the legitimacy of a case? I would have to say 100% yes, because my best sighting, a flash of light going straight up, looking up, and it's gone.
Yeah.
That is my best.
I those in the beginning, believe me.
That is my best sighting ever. How crap is that? That is the most.
You got to start somewhere, okay? And I didn't see the first things that I saw weren't an actual craft that I could define and say that is a flying craft. It's not a light. I can actually see porthole or hole, like windows on it, and I can see other features on it. It is not just a light. You know what I'm saying?
But for me, then, with my sighting, that is my best sighting. And
but location has everything to do with it.
Let me finish. It was crap. And I would never have ever remembered that to this day if it hadn't have been for a news article the following day in the Liverpool Echo entitled Kenny's from Heaven, where a road that ran parallel, probably a good few hundred yards away, probably like 400 yards away, but it run parallel with where I was. There was a copper out. A copper is a policeman.
Right.
For the non-English people. And he was washing his car. I think it said he was something like 43 years old. I can't remember exactly. And he said that he'd stopped and he'd watched this light, a bright light making no sound, hovering over Liverpool's training ground. And it was just hovering there. He said he watched it for something like 20 minutes, at which point it just suddenly went straight up in a flash and it was gone within a second. That was kind of the way he described it. And that's what I saw. But I wasn't looking at this object. I was walking along and I just saw a white light go bump. And as it went like that, it was gone. But he legitimized what I saw in my mind, and that's why I still remember it today.
So how's that look? Can you see?
Blue screen.
There's one going right there. There it is right there.
Yeah, the problem is when you do it over Hangouts, the footage looks like crap, mate.
I know because it reduces it down to a really low resolution, but that's all right.
Yeah, and we don't get every frame either.
Hold on 1 second. My speed rate here. I got to change something around here. That will improve the frame rate. It'll let me because of this stupid touchpad. God, I hate these static pads, you know, on these laptops. They're just horrendous. Seriously. Okay, is that better? Should be better.
Still can't see an object.
Let me pull it back. Okay, hold on a second. Let's pull it all the way back. Okay.
Right.
Is that better? You see the whole screen now, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
most of it, yeah.
You see it
Would it
around
be-
the top.
It should be better if you show your screen. Share your screen, Vern. If you can come in on that computer and then share your screen.
The problem is that when it does it through this player and sharing the screen, there's so many resources that I don't know if it's gonna even play. It'll play it really rough. I think the last time I tried to do it, it was unplayable because it's a huge file. You know what I mean? It's a 4K file.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, just do the best you can, then.
here, hold on. I need it on here.
Hey, Cyrus.
Okay, come on, load. Loading. Still loading. Come on. Okay. Oh crap! Forgot I have to go. Do it live.
That comment I've just put in, by the way, it took me forever to type in because I'm crap with the keyboard. But that's meant for you, Ollie. It took me about friggin' 10 minutes to type that. Oh my god.
Okay.
And this is why you shouldn't drink, kids.
Okay. Share screen. Share. Okay, can you see that?
No, we're looking at you. Hold on. That screen. The car.
Yes.
Yeah, we see the car.
I need 4 other copies of this file in this, so there's. Want me to slow it down a little?
No, I'm gonna send
Plays a
you
little bit better when it's slower.
I'm gonna send you a sarcastic comment on Hangouts, but you'll like it. It's between us. Don't say it out loud, though.
You see that go by? Probably should slow down a little bit more, huh? You see that? There's
Yep.
two of them now. Another one
Yep.
disappeared. There's another one up over here too. There's like at one point I think there's 7 or 8 on the screen at once, isn't there? Here's one right there. And these are discs. These are round and flat. See, they have like, and they're wobbling. Like that one there was wobbling. That's why I thought it was a light flashing at first. That's why I thought it was a plane at first. And I was like, oh, you know. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that look again, and I'm like, it went up on its side like that. I'm like, that's not a plane, and it was pretty close over there. And then it took off, and like I said, I ran in, grabbed the phone, ran out, and started filming it right where I put my arms up on top of the my mom's car, my hand, you know, and I just held it on the car so it would be stable. So I hold it stable if I'm like holding it up, right? I have to hold it against something. And so most of this, like I said, these things are. I mean, I fidget a little bit, but you only hold steady for so long. But all those other ones are moving the way you see them, because I never saw them.
You need to put these up on YouTube instead of showing them like this because
Yeah, I need
the
to get it. I need to
quality
get
is
the edit.
so
I need to
poor
edit the
there.
end of it, and yeah.
I mean,
But
you can
it's such
see
a
the
huge
like
file
dots
that I
and
have to.
everything, but
I got to make it. Yeah, I mean, but it's a huge file, and I have to make it manageable to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Because it won't play right up on YouTube if I load it up like this. You know what I mean? It needs to be shrunk down a little bit. It'd take me freaking probably a half a day to load this file up, 2 gigabytes or something. It's only 5 minutes, but it's 2 gigabytes in 5 minutes. So that's a
yeah,
big file. You know what I mean? And that's just how the phone is set up by default. You know, and I mean, I always forget to like turn it down or whatever. But I figure shouldn't it be better to do it in the higher resolution? I mean, in the long run. I mean, eventually, I'm gonna be glad I did it in high resolution. I think, don't you think?
I'd like to say yes, but I mean, if you were recording that in 1080, it would have been perfectly clear, or it should have been. But then again, I suppose it comes down to your freaking
See, this
phone
thing is
and
like
all
fading
that
out
crap.
now. That's what was weird. It just sort of faded out. So I went and faded out. It jumped over there a little, but it's just like I don't know whether it's moving away, but it's just weird.
Everything's
Yeah,
gone
he's
quiet.
doing that jumping around. Yeah, it's weird how it jumps to that like that.
Yeah, we get a comment in the chat section that said if a UFO can come here, they must be nearby. They probably live somewhere in our solar system. Well, the thing is that maybe they
They
have the
live right here on Earth.
technology to bend space-time and fold time in half and pass through a black hole and then emerge on the other side to come here. It's a theory.
So let me decrease the speed for some reason.
So, Jax, while we were asking questions, hello. If you were to go outside tonight, then
Yeah.
how many unusual things do you think you could catch on film?
I don't even know. I don't, like I said, every night, I don't know. I get a feeling when there's things going to be around, like before they come around, but it's hard. Like when I had the most I ever had, caught me totally by surprise. I was out of my truck. I was in front of my truck with my spotlight, and I happened to be just looking up in the sky when the thing pulled up over the edge of the hill there. I could have easily missed it. It could have happened before. I could have not seen this thing because it made not a sound. And the only reason why it went off kilter is that it was sitting there, not moving. Whether it saw me down there or not, I don't know. I have to think that it did because, thermal technology or something. I'm sure it has something like that. Being able to go into another world the way it did, like a cookie cutter cutting through cookie dough. But the thing that happened is I put my spotlight on it. It was only about 100 feet above me. And my spotlight, I modified it so that's super, super bright, way brighter than a normal one. But it wasn't like it was easily illuminated. It was huge. And the thing immediately started to gyrate. It like it was sitting there motionless. And all of a sudden it started like vibrating, like this. And then it flew right in front of me, right over to the road which was like 30 yards away, maybe. And I did have a binocular in my pocket, so I was able to look through the binocular, and that's where I was able to look deep into that other world and stuff. And like I said, I've never seen anything like it, and it's not like this place at all. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just all light. It's like pure light coming out of everything. Anyway, the thing is like I can't guarantee that you're going to see something out there for weeks and not seeing anything, and then gone out there and seen so many things happen, and I've been surrounded by things. I mean, like crazy stuff. So it's hit or miss. It just depends, But there's at a more active time than there is a less active time. Why? But it tends to be, seasonal, like where I have more sightings. I don't know why, but starting about now and going into wintertime is a pretty strong time all the way through the winter. Winter's a pretty good time, but then comes spring, it really slows down. But then it might be because it shifts to a different part of the area. Because I have been up in the mountains in the summer and seeing mountains up there. So, which is where I saw the very mountains up there from living up here. And I actually saw stuff with my girlfriend. We were driving down from her house one night, and there was like 4 lights in the sky that were all like looked like they were connected almost. But they all had blinking lights on them, and they were like in a line. And I've never seen military planes fly like that or commercial, like where they're right on each other's bumper. And that was like one of the first things. And also, a friend of mine brought a telescope up on top of a mountain thing, and he also had these super powerful binoculars. And I was looking around these binoculars, and I seen this object flying around the side of the mountain. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I swear to God, it looks like a building. My friend's just like, he's not taking me seriously. I'm like, seriously, man, it looks like a freaking square building. And it was going really slow, 30 miles an hour maybe. And it was going right along the side of the mountain and up this canyon. And it was pretty much wilderness area. You're not supposed to be really flying around wilderness areas that low, I don't think. Anyway, but it was totally silent. And finally, I got my friend to look through it. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he comes over right as it's going around the edge of the mountain, because it made a full circle and turned around and then went back out. And he caught the end of it. He goes, "What the hell was that?" I'm like, "I'm trying to tell you, you know." Nobody wants to believe me. But it is what it is, right? So, I mean, and another weird thing is that my girlfriend's mother, on the way to the kids' soccer game one day, she wanted to go, and we were walking out there the field, and she was starting to tell me about these orb lights that would chase her home when she was a little kid, and she grew up her whole life here. And she described to a T the things that I was seeing out there, as far as those orbs were concerned, all that, and they were coming up real close to me at times, you know. And then I had one that actually transformed into something else. And so what it is, you never know. I mean, these things, if they're traveling dimensionally or whatever, they probably alter themselves into a different form of energy. And it's hard to understand because see, there's another thing that happened to me too, where my Garmin recorded it, and it basically stated that I was traveling 43,000 miles an hour for 4 seconds on a course that took me right through the center of the mountain, which everybody say that's impossible, but after what I've seen, it's not impossible. And but I would have thought it was impossible prior to seeing what I saw. But anyway, that I was able to import the file into Google Earth, and when I put the line trajectory lines on it, it went right through Area 51 and right through White Sands, just coincidentally. So I wonder about that. And I had no memory at the time of it, but later on, a few years later, I woke up and I was my I don't know what happened, but well, we'll save that for another time. But anyway, that's basically in a nutshell how it all kind of all happened. But you know, I mean, like the things happen, like when with my friend up there, you know, and there's a few years later or whatever. I'm not even thinking about that anymore. I got so many other things in my life that I'm having to deal with, you know, that they had to literally like throw themselves in front of me and in a way in which made me like start to pay attention. You know, I mean, I know that sounds crazy or whatever, but like, you know, I was, even though that I've been through all these things and all that, I remain like a programmed skeptic, you know, in that aspect where I want to be in denial. I want to deny that I'm out there seeing it. So I need to have reassurance. So from when I take people out there, that's the best way for me to reassure myself, you know, is to have other people validate it too, because I want to make sure that I'm not just seeing things or whatever on the other aspects. And filming these things is next to impossible unless you have the right camera equipment and stuff. And I don't have high-end camera equipment. I don't even have a camera right now that works. Yeah, I know it's like, but that's justice. That's the injustice of our life and everything. If I had a really awesome camera, you guys would see some awesome stuff, I'm sure. You know, if you figure out how to use it properly too. That's another thing. You know, trying to shoot at night, you have to know what you're doing. You know, this video here I got lucky on, but it's not the greatest video, and I'm shooting out of a Google Pixel 2 phone. You know, yeah, it's got this great camera, but it's all limited too. I mean, look at the camera; it's just a little tiny thing. You know what I mean? There's no lenses to it or whatever. It's not like a real camera. So.
See, and this is why I hate you, Van, because you know you see these things and you don't get that many recordings of them. I mean, for God's sake, you once sat there and said to me that you were going to finish your burger and then go out and carry on watching the UFO that was hovering reasonably close to you. And
Yeah.
I was like, are you frigging...
See, they were out there for days, you know, like... Sometimes the same UFO comes and does the same activity almost at the same exact time, days or nights in a row. And there was one that coincidentally was towards Area 51. It was last year or the year before last year. And I kept forgetting to go out and video it. And I could have gone out and video it. I didn't really have a decent camera to do it with. I could have tried with my phone, but I mean, you know, but I could see with the naked eye that there were things that it was up there and it was low on the horizon and there were things coming out of it and they were going in a spiral function around it and then going down to the ground. So whatever it was releasing things that were also shiny or whatever. And it did it at least 3 nights in a row at the same exact time almost like 10 o'clock or 9:30 at night. It's right.
Then invest in a frigging camera. Record some of these things. Just put the raw footage
I
up
have to
on
have an
YouTube.
income to do that. It's see, I can't have an income because then I'm not legitimate if I have an income, right? I mean, I would use the income to further the disclosure, but see, I'm not allowed to do that according to the model. Okay, so
Don't even go there, man.
I
Invest.
know.
Get it. Just get a
No, I
cheap
need to have a
camera.
sponsor. I need a
Get some
sponsor.
footage.
Somebody can just like borrow me a camera, lend me a camera that I can use, and I'll return it. And that way it won't be mine, because if it's mine, it will fail. I guarantee you, it will be sabotaged and fail before I can even use it.
Yeah, but that
For
could be
a week.
that could be because you run over like you did with your phone, run over it with your frigging truck.
Well, it fell out of my pocket, you know, and I had to open up the door to look out. Those shit happens. You're bouncing around out there, and you know it's dark as hell. You got no reverse lights because then they can see you. So,
Well, I think it's time to start the after show.
after hours.
After hours, yeah.
Anyway, that's what it is. It is what it is, right? Or it ain't what it wasn't.
Ollie, would you like to jump on the after show?
Yeah, what DC Cooper was talking about is that when we went to his house, we drove over to Nevada and went to Burns, and he brought us out to this little area, looked like it was out of the old West for real.
Yeah, DB Cooper, tell freaking Brent and them.
Hey,
And-
Jax.
Hey, what's up?
Go ahead. No, go ahead first.
And we saw like 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes getting out of the car, we ended up seeing stuff like all over the place. And why is my camera not on? Okay. Come on. Good boy.
God, that was pretty cool. The way it just instantly popped on with a little dot in the center. That was cool. It's like, like it was magic.
And we saw things like not even 2 minutes out of getting out of the car. We saw, you know.
Remember the thing on the hill?
What was that? It looked like it was two sides, two. It looked like headlights coming down this hill in the distance.
I know, but they're not. It's not a car. And what they do is they try to mimic cars, and sometimes it's two of them, and they can project lights and they can do all kinds of crazy things, man. But I've seen them. They're like little discs.
And there was two sets.
Mm-hmm.
There was two sets that night. Plus the sky out there looked like it was literally in 3D. It was so crystal clear. It wasn't even funny. It was the best sky that I've ever seen. And as we looked up, now I don't know any constellation. Maybe somebody else might know of a constellation. What constellation up in the sky that looks like a triangle?
A perfect triangle that rotates.
I can't explain it.
The thing was rotating. Remember how the thing rotated around?
Yeah.
I mean, what satellite is that way that's that big or that in that unison with two other ones that they don't vary off of anything at all and that they rotate at a very slow rate? Just.
Yep.
And it's a long triangle. It's not a. But I've seen also perfect triangle ones. There's like a perfect. For years, there was a triangle that I used to look at. It was always right above, right straight up in the top of the sky here, and it was a really bright one, and then two lesser bright ones, and it was a perfect triangle. I never knew what that was, but
But yeah, I think we're gonna go into the after show. I want to thank everybody that came on in the chat.
I just wanted to ask you one question before we leave.
Sure.
Guess who owns a piece of the moon? And they're among us.
Who?
On this panel.
You do?
No.
Who?
He's Cupid.
Say what?
Yep, Cube owes a piece of the moon. A piece of land on the moon. You're on mute, Q.
I own of 1 acre of the moon.
Wow. No, you don't. Come on. Do you really?
Show him the work.
I'll move it up slowly.
Moonestates.com.
What it was years ago. Years ago.
Come on.
It's real.
I'll show you the rest of the documents in a minute. Years ago, the American government tried to buy the moon. And it went to court, and they were told at the end of it, no one country can own the moon. And that was what they were told. And then some guy went to court and said, well, hold on, can I own the moon? And he got allowed to. He bought the moon. So he then divided it into 1 acre segments and sold them. So you saw the first picture. These are lunar rights, the actual law behind it. I ain't gonna read that. The lunar map. These are all framed pictures, by the way. The lunar map shows different designations. I presume some people's parts of the moon are probably on the dark side, because surely he won't have just sold one side. Right, I'm gonna block that out. Right, purely because that's me name. So that's the lunar deed.
Jeez.
I'm sorry you can't see this that well. That's the lunar deed that says the location of my plot of land. Now that's what most people bought. But a lot of them screwed up, because if NASA go to the moon, they can take whatever they want off your piece of land. Unless... I'll wait for Jax to get back.
I'm back.
Yeah, they can take whatever they want off your piece of land with those other documents. But this document gives me the lunar mining rights. If they take anything off that 1 square acre, it's my property. So yeah, I own a piece of the moon.
That's probably where the Chinese keep landing. They keep stealing your shit.
They better fucking haven't. If I'm ever able to prove it, I want stuff.
Well, we're gonna head into the after show. I want to thank everybody that came on the panel. Vern, UFO Man, Cuvid, Mike, Gyro, Smooth Virus.
Your screen's locked on me, by the way.
All right. Now it's locked on me. But yeah, we got One Life Man. You want to see more? Subscribe to the channel. We do them on a weekly basis. Sometimes 2-3 shows a week. There's no specific date. So, and Tammy is back. Hi, Tammy. I'm just about ready to get off and head to the after show. But yeah. I had fun, guys. This was a very interesting show. We need to do more of these, I think.
Jax, throw the link up for anybody who wants to maybe jump in the after show.
Sure. Here's the link. But yeah, as soon as this was just a test to see if things would work out for people over and across the pond. Apparently it did, so we'll probably do more.
UK for the win.
And yeah. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Keep an open mind.
Absolutely.
My last thought is
stay vigilant.
My last thought is, can one of the mods boot Alex?
What about Vern, man? Look at him.
I don't know. I'm trying not to because last time I did it, we were on for an extra 15 minutes.
He's got an alien on his head.
Shut up, Tim. Can someone mute him? Hold on, I can mute him.
But yeah, we'll do more like this. They're usually talking, late at night, and most people can't come on. So if I time it right, you can get people from everywhere coming on. But yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. It's very highly, highly appreciated. The one thing that we've always stood for is the truth. We just want to know the truth. And that's all. And that's what this whole thing is about. And on that note...
Hey, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Don't forget to give a thumbs up.
Yes. Thumbs up would be appreciated.
And check out the merch.
Yes. Check out the merch. I'm going to put those links in the description down below as well. So everyone will have access to those. So anything else, gentlemen?
No, great show.
Great show, yeah. Good job, Jax.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on. Seriously. I mean that.
Oh,
So-
you're making me blush.
Hopefully we can get...
No homo.
Alien Addict said he's going to come on somewhere down in the future. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
He said that to me as well.
So we look
He's a
forward to
smart
that.
guy.
Ollie, if you want to come on one of the after shows first, if you like, just to meet the guys, So that you feel comfortable, mate.
You did say that he did say that he just had a baby recently, right? You saw that comment.
Oh,
right?
we'll be fine. Put the baby in the corner. The baby will be fine.
All right. Well, on that note, guys,
No. Say
Everyone-
something else.
have a nice weekend, guys. And have a great week. We'll see you sometime next week. And that's it. Until next time, everybody. Stay spooky.
Good night.